to the left of your picture, he's the 7th one back on the left, the black car, the orange helmet, Esteban Ocon, the championship leader, given this penalty after the incident in the earlier race. Is the number 3 car of Lucas Auer, the only Austrian in this race here at the Red Bull Ring circuit, which has undergone a number of changes over the years. Originally there was an airfield circuit here, then in 1969 they built the Österreich Ring, which is a much longer circuit than this. 1970 it hosted a non-championship race for the Formula 1 World Championship, and then for 17 years it hosted Grand Prix, and then the A1 Ring was formed, a shorter version of the circuit. That hosted Grand Prix up until 2003. The last one won by Michael Schumacher for Ferrari, to the 7 times world champion. And then after a time away, 11 years away, in 2011 it became the Red Bull Ring, and just a few weeks ago it started hosting Grand Prix again with great success. So the 24th race of the season, the 3rd and final race of the season, of the weekend here at Spielberg. The car setting off onto the formation lap now, and there's the view from up at turn 2, which is this huge climb from turn 1. Very steep climb, halfway up the mountain almost to get to turn 2. So Giovinazzi and Blomqvist on the front row, Fuoco and Auer on row 2, then Verstappen and Rosenqvist completing the top 6. And there, look, 14th place, should have been 4th, but he's got this grid penalty, is Esteban Ocon. And given that the man has nearly always been 1st and 2nd in the races this year, he's had 8 wins so far, plus a further 10 podiums, 9 seconds and a 3rd. He has yet to score a point this weekend, which is pretty amazing. His worst weekend before this was at the Norris Ring. He got 2 seconds and a 14th. So it's been a bit of a disaster for the championship leader. In a way, that said, his nearest championship rival, Max Verstappen, has also had his issues. They came together at the first corner in the first race yesterday. As we look at a map of the circuit, 8 corners here, 4.3 kilometres around it. The distance of the race in total will be just over 100 kilometres. But yes, the top 2 from the front row of the grid into the first corner yesterday came together. Verstappen understeered into the side of Ocon, who was sent into a spin and dropped to the back of the field, recovered but not enough to get into the points. Verstappen dropped to 6th, made his way back up to 3rd, got onto the podium, and then for a separate incident, for a pass on Antonio Fuoco during that race, he then got penalised, and a 5-second penalty dropped him back to 5th place. So although Ocon hasn't picked up points, it could have been worse, because Verstappen could have picked up so many more. If Verstappen had picked up 2 wins and scored 50 points, he'd have halved the gap pretty much to the championship leader. As it is, he hasn't quite had those results. He had that 5th place, and then earlier on today he had a 4th place finish. He was running 5th, as I say, for most of the race. Then Jake Dennis had this tear off from the visor. Absolute freak thing, unbelievable. You couldn't do it if you tried to throw it, get it sucked into the airbox, and it killed the power. So Jake Dennis, one who's looking to go forwards. Grid set by qualifying 1, set the grid for the race yesterday. Qualifying 2 set the grids for races 2 and 3, with the fastest laps counting for race 1 and the second fastest laps from each driver, giving us this grid. So it's been a really difficult day, I would imagine, for this man. Antonio Giovinazzi thought he'd won the race, then it gets taken away from him because, admittedly, of his own error. He was too far back behind the safety car. He crossed the line thinking he'd won the race. If a drive-through penalty is served within the last 3 laps and the driver doesn't take it, then they just add time onto his results. So let's see if he can do it this time. Red lights come on, the race gets underway, the final race of the weekend. It's a good start from Fuoco, it's a really good start from Blomqvist, who looks like he's got the run here onto his teammate into turn number 1. Giovinazzi in the start earlier on today made a great start, not quite as good this time. Lucas Auer there in 3rd place, and there's carnage just behind. See, John Bright-Meister has been caught up in that. And a wheel off there for the number 9 Fortec car of Alfonso Celis, the Mexican, who is in his first weekend of racing here. Still with his nose in front is Tom Blomqvist, number 31, but he's on the wrong line for the corner, and Giovinazzi fights back. Giovinazzi back into the lead of the race. Contact further back as well, as they all try and jostle for position, run out wide. But it is going to be the race lead with the pole sitter, Antonio Giovinazzi, but with Tom Blomqvist, his teammate, really on a great weekend here, looking for his first time this year that he'll get 3 podiums out of the 3 races. You can see Jordan King, number 5, in the middle of the action there, just outside the top 6, in about 8th position as they work their way downhill now and into the first of the 2 left-handers through Pirelli, and down through into the next left-hander, and then down through the final 2 turns into the right-hander. Rindt, named after Jochen Rindt, the 1970 world champion, the only champion to posthumously win the F1 world title. And then the final curve is the Red Mobile 1 curve, which is a very quick corner indeed. There's Esteban Ocon there, trying to make his way through the field from the middle of the pack, number 2, the championship leader. And he's onto the tail of Felix Rosenqvist, the driver who he came together with in the earlier race. Antonio Fuoco runs out wide, but he's still 4th. So it's Giovinazzi Blomqvist, Auer in 3rd. Fuoco in 4th place. Latifi's made his way up to 5th position. Dennis is up to 6th. He's had a great start from the 6th row of the grid. So Jake Dennis into 6th place. Jordan King's made up a place to 7th. Verstappen, not a great start, in 8th. Calderon's moved up to 9th. Ed Jones is there in 10th place. Esteban Ocon is 12th. So Rosenqvist is 11th. Esteban Ocon is there in 12th place. The two leaders are nose to tail, but there's no change in position as they make their way. Look at the rise here, and it steepens the closer to the corner you get. So really are able to brake late here. But as they rise up again then, they have to keep the momentum coming out of the corner. Somebody just get tripping up there in the background and maybe losing a place or two. It may have been Van der Laar, I think, who's just outside the top 10. Esteban Ocon is getting further and further up the order now. And closing in, I think, on Ed Jones is going to be his next target. Look at this Jake Dennis there, having a really stomping run here, up against the Canadian Nicholas Latifi in the number 1 car. They're battling over 5th position. Jake Dennis getting a good run here as he comes downhill and really making up lots of time here. From Winter Steps champion and 4th in Formula Renault last year, up against Nicholas Latifi, the Canadian, 17-year-old who was born in Montreal, actually lives in Toronto now, half Italian. Started his car racing career in Italian Formula 3, his first full season of car racing being in 2012. And there's this battle with Rosenqvist, Jones on the fray of the top 10 there. So it's Giovinazzi, Blomqvist, Auer, the top 3, Fuoco, then Latifi, then Dennis, King and Verstappen. Calderon and Ocon into the points now in 10th place. Sorales 11th, Rosenqvist 12th, and we saw him battling away with Ed Jones, who slipped back to 13th now. Sean Galal 14th. Another of the Gonya I am with Carlin back to cars there, the yellow machine in the middle of the pack. And look at this battle here. Jake Dennis trying to go around the outside. We've seen some good moves, particularly yesterday up at this corner from Jake. But this time he has to sit tight behind Nicholas Latifi in his 2nd season within the championship. Jordan King is breathing down their neck as well. He needs some good points here. Just tries to go for as many points as he can. Jake Dennis, the young rookie in his 1st season of Formula 3 racing, having a good battle. And onto the tail of that group is the number 30 car of Max Verstappen. Here comes Jake Dennis then. He's going to have a big go around the outside into the left-hander. Won't work. He's just piling the pressure on though. He's got to watch it though, because if he goes offline, he's got to be sure he's going to get through. Otherwise, you know what, King and Verstappen will close the door, close in on him and get past him. So these four absolutely tied together. There is Max Verstappen. And there's a big coming together there. Oh, Alex Toril is one of them, number 12, who scored his first championship point of the weekend earlier on. And this is what happened. It's coming together with Sinkoviak, maybe a glance there. Hector Hurst is sent off. And then what happens? Oh, the other car was already off, I'm afraid. I thought that was part of the same incident, but it wasn't. It was Joe Zeller was already off in the gravel trap. So Toril, overjoyed with his first point of the season earlier on. He's not going to pick one now. Actually, it was Rosenqvist. No, it wasn't Joe Zeller at all. It was Rosenqvist that was the car. We didn't see why, but he was already off in the gravel in a separate incident. Here's a replay of the start of the race. Really good start from Blomqvist, who really did push for the lead of the race through the first couple of corners. And then a bit of lock-up. And then it was the Mexican who lost his wheel, number 9, at the back of the field. There was contact, that was why. And I think it was a coming together with Goddard, who kept going. So more running wide. That was the incident in the background. And more incidents to look at replays of in the middle of the pack this time. Some pretty feisty racing that we've seen so far this weekend. Here's Toril. Not sure he got contact with Simkoviak. It's close to it, but he just lost it around the outside there. Hard to tell from this angle. Simkoviak got through. Hector Hurst had to take evading action. And then you'll see the car of the man that finished 2nd in the championship last year. Felix Rosenqvist was already off. You can see what happened there, but it doesn't look like a mechanical, does it? It looks like there's been an incident that's taken the number 27 car out separately. And safety car, as a result of all this, has now been deployed. the last race, we had 3 safety cars, and this is the first of them. So Giovinazzi, he's hopefully learnt his lesson after what happened to him earlier on. Just to recap, he led the race. We had 3 safety cars. He controlled all the race. He controlled the restarts. But on the final restart, a few laps to go, he hung back too far from the safety car. The rule is that you have to stay within 10 car lengths of the safety car, and he failed to do that by quite some distance, actually. He was then asked to serve a drive-through penalty, but it was within the last 3 laps of the race. He didn't actually come in and serve the penalty, so he took the flag. He punched the air as he took the flag, as if he didn't know, and then found out that he would be wiped from the results. So there's another regulation that if there is either a drive-through or a stop-go penalty within the final 3 laps of a race and it's not served, then they can add time. And the rule for a drive-through is that you get 20 seconds added onto your time, which of course completely scuppered him, pushed him down to 16th place in the end, which was a great shame because he'd driven that really well. He finished 2nd yesterday. Looked like he was going to win that one. 2 cars being taken away then from separate incidents. Alex Tyrrell, one of the younger drivers in the championship at just 17. A couple of seasons in F3, but in the European F3 Open Championship in 2012 and 2013. Mom and Dad Ralliers, older brother Miguel Toril, raced in International GT Open last year to 7th place, driving a pretty tasty Mercedes SLS AMG GT3 car, and racing in Blancpain Sprint Series this year. So Alex out of the race, but at least he's picked up his point, which is a first. He's ticked that off now. I don't think we'll be too long behind the safety car. Now, incident between cars 12 and 15 being investigated. Well, that was the incident we saw, Toril and Simkoviak. And they're looking into that and trying to figure out if, I suppose, Simkoviak was at fault at all for that. So they're looking into it, they're investigating it. It doesn't mean anything's going to happen, but they are looking at the incident. No message to say that the safety car's coming in yet, so it looks like at least one more lap behind the safety car. Giovinazzi then leads them around, and he's got to try and keep his head now, the young Italian. Scognor IM with Carlin team powered by Volkswagen engines, so he and his teammate with the same power unit. Lucas Auer, the KFZ Tyler 24 Muka Motorsport team, they are powered by the Mercedes-Benz engine. So the 2 dominant suppliers within the championship. Haven't been the only suppliers this year, but they're the 2 mainstream suppliers. You've got Antonio Fuoco, who is one of the drivers for Prema Power Team, who took the driver's title and the team's title last year with their man Raffaele Marciello. He's moved up to GP3 now, and they are also powered by Mercedes engines. So Giovinazzi leads, Blomqvist 2nd, Auer 3rd. In terms of the championship standings coming into this race, Esteban Ocon 379 points, Max Verstappen 285. So the gap's down to 96 points. It was more than 100 points at the start of the weekend. Tom Blomqvist has moved up to 3rd place this weekend, ahead of Lucas Auer. He's got 251 points, Auer's got 227. And Antonio Fuoco is having a good weekend as well, with a 6th and a win. He's got 195 points and is in 5th place in the championship. Felix Rosenqvist, he's not going to score any points today. He's 6th in the championship and only 2 points clear of Jake Dennis. So Jake Dennis could move up into the top 6 in the championship. The safety car is coming in on this lap then, at the end of this lap. Make sure you stay close enough, please, Fabrizio. Don't do it again. Stay within 10 car lengths. That is the reg. Is he within 10 car lengths of the safety car? The safety car's sprinted off now. Hopefully he's okay by the time the safety car had left them. So here we go. He's been very good on the restarts, that's for sure. And he's had plenty of practice so far today. So he's going to be a comfortable leader. Lucas Auer's had a good restart here, and he's trying to pick up a toe now onto the tail of Tom Blomqvist. So I'm not quite sure he's close enough to attack into the first corner. So we'll just try and stay with Blomqvist and try and do something up at turn 2. But everybody inside the top 6, top 10, stay settled. It's a fairly calm, placid restart. Good news, the safety car, of course, for Esteban Ocon, who had already made his way from 14th up to 10th, and the championship leader now has got everybody queued up just in front of him, lining them up, ready to pick up some moves, maybe. Now, Jake Dennis and Nicholas Latifi are going to be side by side here as well once again. Who's going to get the better of the battle? It's going to be Latifi at the inside. Dennis off the track, but doesn't gain the place. You'll have to watch it as well because he's got the blue Carling car of Jordan King right behind him and Verstappen in the mix as well. So this battle continuing between these drivers. Having to defend fervently now is Jake Dennis, look, hogging the inside line here. He's got Verstappen breathing down his neck. I think King's gone around the outside of him, but he's gone out of road, and now he's going to pay the price for that. So the blue Carling car of Jordan King, having got ahead of them, will drop back 2 places behind them. It was a brave move around the outside, but he carried too much speed. There wasn't enough track. And King briefly got 2 places. He's give them back now to Dennis and to Verstappen. Up front, it's still Giovinazzi ahead of Blomqvist. Auer coming through in 3rd place. Didn't get through. Then Fuoco, then Latifi, then Dennis in 6th. And look at this scrap here. 2 really good races. Verstappen, his first season of car racing, having taken umpteen domestic and also European and world karting titles, up against Jordan King, who's got more car racing experience. Be more wheel-to-wheel action into the first corner, and this time Jake Dennis has got through. Got a great run coming out of turn 8. He runs off the road, carries speed. Not the only one though, is he? They're all going wide there through turn 1, and damage there. And that looks like one of the West Tech cars. It's, I'm afraid, Felix Sorales. And how many damaged wheels have we seen this weekend? Certainly today there have been 2 or 3. So Sorales out of the race. Latifi's trying to come back around the outside of Jake Dennis. Jake with the yellow helmet there, still at the head of the field, and Max Verstappen has pounced. Max Verstappen's split their battle up now. He's got into the mix. So this is a great scrap that we've got going on here for 5th place. There's a right-hander coming up, which is good news for Jake Dennis. But Max Verstappen will still try and go around the outside. He's that sort of driver. But these are 2 feisty young racers, and Jake Dennis doing a good job here, and Latifi having one of his best races so far this season. He's coming alongside now at Verstappen, but he'll have to relent. You've got King right behind, and look who's behind them. Esteban Ocon's into the mix as well. He's up to 9th place now, still in the points. Tatiana Calderon doing a good job here as well, the only female within the race. So she's in the mix. There she is in the number 18 car, the orange car with the blue helmet. That's Tatiana Calderon, who had to switch teams right at the very start of the season. King defending here from Ocon. They were wheel to wheel, but that was just King trying to hang on to his place. And there's the orange car, the Joe Zeller racing car of Tatiana Calderon. Joe Zeller Racing and Muka Motorsport having a sort of working partnership this season. And 0.8 of a second is the gap from 1st to 2nd. But it's this battle further down, which is very, very lively indeed. And Jones is in the mix as well, in 11th place, trying to get into the points. Then Menezes in 12th, the American driver. Then Nissani in 13th place, Roy Nissani, the Israeli driver. And this looks like Ocon might have the move here, but Jordan King knows he's got the inside line, knows that he'll have the better route through the corner. And a little bit of contact further back there. That's Sean Galal fighting away, isn't it? Trying to get through position. Sean is just in the middle of the pack in about 15th, 16th position. Here we go again. Esteban Ocon with his nose in front, but on the wrong line for the corner. Battling away. He's just giving it everything here. He's got nothing to lose in a sense, has he, Esteban Ocon? He hasn't picked up any points. He's got still a healthy championship lead. He's just got to try and get up the order as high as he can. He has got to try and not incur the wrath of the officials, though, this weekend, because they've certainly been keeping an eye on his actions this weekend. But the Frenchman is a real star. He had a difficult weekend at the Norris Ring 2 rounds ago, and then how did he come back? He came back with 3 wins out of 3 at Moscow. So he's a very level-headed man. He's a star of the future. He's backed by the Lotus Formula 1 team, who are keeping certainly an eye on him, as is the rest of the world now, I think, after these performances in a very competitive field. Strengthening depth in the field as that is going wide there on the Zeller cars, and that Calderon, I think, it was Calderon, wasn't it? And it might cost Tatiana a place here. And Roy Nissani's together with her. They're absolutely together. Both in orange cars, both with blue helmets. But it's Tatiana Calderon that's just about going to hold on to this. Roy Nissani in the number 4 car, right onto her tail. And then you've got Jules Kowiak, the Dutch driver, as well. 3 together now into the corner at turn 2. A big lock-up from Calderon. Look at Jules Kowiak in the silver car trying to get at the inside here of Roy Nissani. This is fantastic racing here at Spielberg. All the way down the order, there are battles going on. Kowiak's got the position. Downhill, then uphill, then downhill again into right curve for turn 3. Roy Nissani, he's never afraid to have a go, so he's trying something around the outside here. And they're all being caught up by Sean Galal in the number 20 car, the yellow car. There's Dennis van der Laar being forced out wide in car number 26. Santino Ferrucci and Beretta in that battle. So great scrap this, and they really seem to have been unleashed here there's no caution out there. They're all going for as many points, as many positions as they can gain in this final race of the weekend. Got a few weeks to fix the car, or 2 weeks to fix the cars before the Nürburgring, I suppose. So, whereas in the first and second races of the weekend, you might always be thinking, well, you know, let's not smash the car up because we've got to make sure it's still running for the point-scoring races later in the weekend. Not the case today. They're just going for it in this final race of their afternoon. 1.8 seconds now the gap for Giovinazzi, and here comes Esteban Ocon, side by side again with Jordan King. This time he's got the inside line, lovely move, so he goes through and picks up the place. That puts him now into 8th position, but Jordan King will pick up the toe on the run to turn 2, which is why Esteban Ocon in the number 2 car, he's looking in the mirrors. The man in the black Prema Power Team car running up the hill now, but I think he's got the position sorted. Jordan King closes back up under braking. Jordan's got his Carlin teammate Ed Jones behind him as well. Carlin, who've had such success across the Formula, particularly in British Formula 3, where they've taken 9 British Formula 3 titles. So catch your breath, and then no doubt there's going to be some more action in about 5 seconds' time. Wherever you look, little battles going on. And there we can see Spike Goddard in the white car with the yellow trim on it, just ahead of Michele Beretta. And look at these two rubbing wheels. Hector Hurst and Michele Beretta. Beretta in the black car, they're interlocked and they can't get unstuck. They're joined at the hip, literally. And they're both going to be out of the race, are they? Well, certainly Beretta is stuck in the gravel. Come on, Hector, keep it going. Keep your foot in, get on the grass, get back on the track. He gets going again. Look at the gravel flung out onto the circuit. It's going to be treacherous when the leaders come through there. All that gravel has been thrown out onto the track. Well, look at this. They all queued up behind Goddard. Then Hurst tried to get up the inside, and his front wheel got interlocked with the right rear of Michele Beretta. And that was what all the smoke was. It was the rubber friction burning against the tyres. And look, he can't turn his wheel, Hector Hurst. He cannot turn the wheel of the car because it's completely interlocked. And eventually, luckily, they come unattached. But, well, Beretta's stuck in the gravel. Hurst does a good job to get it out. And at least Westtech have got one car running with Sorales already having dropped out with a broken wheel after an incident. Whew, what a race. Esteban Ocon from 14th to 8th then. So looking for the first points of the weekend. He's not going to give up on that either. I'm sure he's going to try and come through the order even more. Jake Dennis, you see there at the head of the shop, running currently in 5th place, but with Max Verstappen behind him. Everybody's been talking about Max this year, so if Jake can beat him in this race, that'll be good for him, because they'll all start recognising what Jake's been doing this season as well, which is good things. He hasn't had the consistent results. He's had 1 or 2 bits of bad luck. Qualifying is something that has cost him points really over the weekends. He hasn't always had the best qualifying results for a number of reasons, not always down to what he's done. And he's done a really good job as a rookie. The problem is there have been so many other rookies in the championship all doing well and all doing very well, including this man, Esteban Ocon. But Esteban has got car racing experience before Formula 3. He came from Formula Renault. He was a race winner in the Formula Renault 2-litre North European Championship, the NEC Championship, with a win and 3 podiums last year. Made his F3 debut at Snetterton in the F3 Cup for older F3 cars last year, in anticipation of a visit to Macau, where he finished in 10th place, and it was quicker than that result would suggest as well. Problem at the start of the race. Now Max Verstappen there, number 30, in the Van Amersfoort car, the Dutch run car, breathing down the neck of Jake Dennis. 2 talented young rookies here, going absolutely full on in this battle for 5th position. And here comes Verstappen around the outside. He's got his nose in front. Look at this. It's another audacious move from Verstappen. Is he going to run out of road, though? It's a left-hander coming up. He's going to keep his foot in. Jack Dennis, he's not going to let this come easily. It's going to be absolutely wheel-to-wheel as they're going to the left-hander. But what a move from Verstappen. That was fantastic. Jake Dennis did everything he could to make that hard, but it was fair. He gave him enough room, and there was good driving from both of them. But Verstappen, again, continuing this theme of just pulling off moves where you shouldn't be able to overtake around the outside there, around a quick driver like Jake Dennis. And he didn't do it there, but he set it up there, and that was what got him the inside line for the next corner. That was a great move from Verstappen then, and that puts him up to 5th place. Giovinazzi, meanwhile, he's blitzing it, 2.7 seconds clear of his teammate Tom Blomqvist. Tom will be very happy with the weekend, though. If he can take a win and 2 second-place finishes, that'll be by a long ways best overall weekend in 2014, and the first time that he'll have taken 3 podiums in the 3 races. So Tom Blomqvist will be a very solid third in the championship if it stays like this. There is the number 4 car, Roy Nissany, run by the Muka Motorsport team, the Berlin-based squad, who, amongst others, have run the likes of Sebastian Vettel in the past. They ran into the Formula BMW title in 2004 before he went on to Formula 1 stardom and multiple world championships, of course. So Roy Nissany, 19, born and lives in Tel Aviv. Started car racing in Formula BMW, 3 wins that season in 2010. Formula Masters after that for a couple of seasons, and then the European Formula 3 Championship, his first taste of F3 last season with a few point-scoring races and a best finish of 7th, which came at the Brands Hatch circuit in England. And there is his teammate, number 3, Lucas Auer, who finished very well in the championship last year in the FIA Formula 3 European Championship, the Austrian, finishing in 4th place. 1 win, 9 podiums in 2013. Also did a bit of racing in the Toyota Racing Series over the winter down in Australasia. And Lucas Auer from St Johann, about 260 kilometres from here, but very much determined to get some good results in his home country. Giovinazzi 2.9 seconds clear, another 10th quicker than Blomqvist that time around. They're both quicker than the 2 cars behind them. Auer and Fuoco, 3rd and 4th, are about half a second a lap slower. And they've got to watch it because Verstappen's closing in on them. Verstappen was about 6/10 quicker than Auer and Fuoco. There's a replay of the race leader. It's just a super slow-mo, watching the way he works through the corner. Very smooth, silky smooth driving style for Giovinazzi. Pushing it, but always in control. And he made that mistake, that misjudgment behind the safety car. But as I said at the time, in race 2 today, everything else was perfect. He drove a really strong race. Here's a good battle going on then. Number 20, Sean Galal. He's got Dennis van der Laar right there with him. Santino Ferrucci, the youngest driver in the championship, is in that fight as well. He was in that fight. He's dropped back a bit, actually. It was Roy Nissany was the next one through in the number 4 car. There is the championship leader, Esteban Ocon, the most winning driver of the season so far. And Esteban, from 14th on the grid, is in 8th place. A drive-through penalty, though, for non-respect of yellow flags. He has had a nightmare of a weekend, hasn't he? Esteban Ocon is going to get a drive-through penalty now. Last time he had a drive-through penalty was 2 rounds ago at the Norris Ring, when overtaking Tom Blomqvist for, what was it, 2nd position at the time. He managed to clip Tom. Tom was speared out of the race. Jolson Kowiak has come in as well for a drive-through penalty for failing to manage yellow flags. And there's a long list of them that are under investigation as well. Number 2, Esteban Ocon, we know about. Jolson Kowiak. And who's the next one? Number 26, Dennis van der Laar. Drive-through penalty for failing to manage the yellow flags. That's for going too quickly through the yellow flags, through the caution zone, which of course is a dangerous thing to do. And there are a number of others under investigation for the same thing as well, including Santino Ferrucci, number 29, and Jake Dennis, number 28. No, sorry, apologies, number 17 it is, posted at 28 minutes past. So number 17, not in yet, but under investigation. That's Sandro Zeller. There's Max Verstappen in car number 30, Van Amersfoort racing driver, based in Belgium, but very much, of course, a Dutch driver. Father Jos, this terrific Formula 1 career, the most successful Dutch driver in history, just 16 years old. He's only 17 at the end of September, Max Verstappen. Dad Jos with 106 Grand Prix starts between 1994 and 2003, drove for teams like Benetton, Tyrrell, Stewart, Minardi, scored a couple of podiums, made his Formula 1 debut at the Brazilian Grand Prix back in 1994, where he drove alongside Michael Schumacher, who went on to win the World Championship that year in the car. So Esteban Ocon serves his drive-through penalty for not slowing down enough through the yellow flags. Dennis van der Laar comes in to serve his penalty. Car number 11, Spike Goddard's going to get brought in as well. Drive-through penalty for him, and so too is Santino Ferrucci. He's going to get a drive-through as well. Ocon and Sinkoviak we already know about. No further action yet, and look at this. Number 25, Antonio Fuoco, defending his 4th position from Max Verstappen, and Max has caught this this little battle up pretty quickly here. So Max Verstappen onto the tail of Rocco. Jake Dennis is hanging on to Verstappen there. Remember a few laps ago, there's this wonderful move from Verstappen to get ahead of Jake Dennis, but Jake's had his pace. He's at the same pace as Verstappen. He's hanging on to him, and they're both catching Rocco now for 4th place. Remember, Jake Dennis has had to fight his way through from the middle of the pack. Having started this race back on the 6th row of the grid. Giovinazzi has crossed the line as the race leader already, 3.2 seconds clear of Blomqvist with about 3/4 of the way through the race, our 3rd. And then this battle for 4th now, really heating up. Rocco, Verstappen, Dennis, all within a couple of seconds of each other. Latifi in 7th place, Jordan King in 8th, Jones 9th, Medeses is 10th. So Calderon is just outside the points at the moment, but within a second of Gustavo Medeses, the American driver, is hanging on to that position for the time being for the Van Amersfoort Racing team. His teammate, of course, to Max Verstappen. Santino Ferrucchi comes in to serve his penalty. The drive-through from the non-respect of yellow flags. Having made his debut, the 16-year-old, midway through the season when he became old enough to drive in Formula 3 as a 16-year-old. So the fights are all about what's going on further down the order, not necessarily the head of the field. Giovinazzi, Blomqvist and Auer all look pretty settled in 3rd place. It's the fight for 4th, and then other little scraps further down the order, which is starting to queue up again. So some great battling in the first 2/3 of this race, just having a little bit of a settled period now. And then I fancy it's going to kick off again soon, but not for this man. And really well done to Giovinazzi for getting his head sorted, because it would have been easy for him to drop his head, get depressed about what happened to him in the race earlier on, and he's had the opposite reaction. He's stayed positive, he's got in that car, knowing that he drove well enough to win the race. He did everything right, apart from just not following the rules behind the safety car. But in terms of the way he drove the car, his starts, his speed, everything was there. And Giovinazzi, a big boost to him, and he's had the perfect response here, hasn't he, in terms of going for a win. Well, there's Lucas Auer in 3rd place, and maybe he's not so safe in 3rd actually, because he's lost half a second or so on that last lap. So Antonio Fuoco has been pushed on here to try and close the gap, because he's been spurred on by Verstappen and Dennis, who in turn have caught him up. In the pits, Mike Goddard has gone through to serve his drive-through penalty, the last of them to do so for this yellow flag infringement. There he is, drive-through penalty for Goddard. He'll go back out, no points today, I'm afraid, for the Australian, the former British Formula 3 national champion. Has had a difficult weekend as well. And will rejoin just in front of Ferrucci, who's also had a penalty. So that will put him into 20th place, Goddard, with Ferrucci down to 21st. Despite the trip through the gravel, Hector has picked up a few places then, up into 19th position because he's kept clean. He hasn't had any infringements and he hasn't been through the pits. But well, he just did well to get the car going again, didn't he, after the interlocked wheels with Beretta, who is out of the race. Sorales out, Rosenquist and Toril the others to drop out of the race, but they're the only ones. Most of the field still running. There you can see the climb up towards the Castrol Edge turn number 1. Out of the Red Bull Mobile Curva. A very quick right-hander at the end of the lap. So there's 3rd, the orange car, driven by Lucas Auer. There's 4th, the white, green and red car of Antonio Fuoco. And then it's Verstappen not too far behind in 5th, Dennis in 6th place, also looking to pick up some more points. There's the Carlin team. Carlin running quite a lot of drivers out there, both as Carlin and in this partnership with the Jagonia IAM outfit. And they have already had a 1-2 finish. That was yesterday, Blomqvist and Giovinazzi. Looked like they were going to get another 1-2 finish for most of race 2, but at least they still got Tom Blomqvist on the podium. And here is Max Verstappen. What's he going to do this time? Well, again, he's going to take points away from Esteban Ocon. Not as many as he would like. And I think I'm right in saying that if it stays like this, it's going to be the first weekend this season that neither Ocon or Verstappen have taken a win. So always at least one of those two, the top two in the championship, have taken a win. And it's not been the case this season. Been a good weekend for those trying to close the gap to those two. So it's certainly kept the championship alive. Nothing is yet decided, with another 9 races, another 3 rounds to come at the end of this weekend. Fascinating season of the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. 20 laps now complete for Fabrizio Giovinazzi, 3.4 seconds clear of Blomqvist. Antonio Giovinazzi driving beautifully, as is this man. What a move from Verstappen. Then there's contact on the way out of the corner as Fuoco tries to fight back. He's missing the end plate there. And a bit of damage to the left front and to the wing. In fact, the wing is now dragging for Antonio Fuoco in the Prema Power Team car. But that was a move from nowhere. Verstappen just pounced on the way into turn number 1. And Jake Dennis is coming back at them now. 4th, 5th, 6th, all running together here as they come out of the turn. Jake Dennis again has to go off the road to avoid being contact. And he's going to lose a place to Latifi now, who is battling with earlier on in the race. The number 1 car of Latifi, I think, has got ahead of Dennis, hasn't he? Yes, he has, in the background, to pick up what's going to be 6th place. So down to 7th position for Dennis. He had to have a go there. The opportunity arose. He couldn't quite work out. We're going to get a replay of this move from Verstappen now. Launching one at the inside. Great move. And then as Fuoco tried to cut back, like he just clipped the right rear wheel of Verstappen. And hopefully that won't puncture the tyre of Verstappen. That will be the worry. Audacious move from Verstappen though. He just threw it at the inside. Karting manoeuvre that was. And he understeered through the corner, as you'd expect, because he was carrying about 10 kilometres an hour more than he ideally would have liked. And Fuoco tried to get him back. Was damaged. Well, it won't please his face. He's always got a big fan club cheering him on in the grandstands. They'll just be hoping the car holds together now. And he doesn't lose any places as a result of that. So, fantastic battle. And here we go again. Fuoco, the damaged car, still going in 4th place. Verstappen trying to come at him. 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th together. This is great news for Lucas Auer. They had been catching Lucas, but of course now they've started fighting each other. He's got away from them again in 3rd place, and Verstappen is now committed to the outside line. He's got his nose in front, bangs wheels, and that almost forces Fuoco into Latifi, his teammate there. The 2 Prema cars go together. One goes out wide. Jake Dennis tries to come back at the inside of them. What a great battle this is. Verstappen, he's the one that's come out on top. He's got the place. He's up to 4th position. Is it going to be Latifi? I think, yes, that will get through into 5th. Jake Dennis gets ahead of Fuoco as well. But there's definite wheel banging there, wasn't there, on the way through? Verstappen had got the run out of turn 1. He got the momentum. And as he came across to make sure he got the inside line for turn 2, he clipped wheels with Fuoco. So, well, returning the compliment, I suppose. Both have both managed to run into each other now. Santino Ferrucci's come in. He had problems with his car yesterday. He's come into the pits again. Incident between cars 25 and 30 being investigated. That is Fuoco and Verstappen. So they're looking into it, the officials. And a technical disqualification is going to be coming through for this man, Antonio Fuoco, because of the damage to the front wing. He's been asked to leave the track. So black flag with the orange disc, technical disqualification. Antonio Fuoco has been asked to come off the road for safety reasons. They don't want that wing coming off. We've had this before, actually. Certainly at the Norris ring, it was Jordan King lost a front wing, and that landed plumb in the middle of the racetrack and had to bring the safety car out. They don't want it to happen again. And so a really gutting end to the weekend for Antonio Fuoco, who had been having probably his best weekend since the opener at Silverstone. Completely ignorant of all this, of course, is the race leader, Giovinazzi. Antonio Giovinazzi is so far clear of them now. He doesn't know what's going on behind him. Frankly, he doesn't care, because he's en route to his maiden Formula 3 European Championship victory, with Tom Blomqvist a comfortable 2nd, Lucas Auer equally comfortable in 3rd place now. There's Gustavo Meneses running in 9th place, running within the points. He'll move up now, of course, as will Tatiana Calderon. So the lady racer is going to come back into the points, picking up some more points. She's already had a few point scoring results this season. The very best result coming at Spa, when she took a 5th place finish there, and a really good drive. Had a good battling performance through to get into the points in the final race of the weekend at the Norris ring as well. There's Lucas Auer with just a couple of laps to go now in 3rd place. Antonio Giovinazzi then, the race leader. And Giovinazzi, his 2nd season of Formula 3 racing, but on course for his maiden F3 victory. And a drive-through penalty. The board is being shown to Max Verstappen for this incident with Antonio Fuoco. So both the races have been ruined. We're on to the final lap of the race. Well, a drive-through penalty. Nose is being changed for Antonio Fuoco, so they're going to try and send him back out just to finish the race, but he's not going to get any points. So, as we knew from the race earlier on, if you get a drive-through penalty in the last 3 laps, and you can't serve it because it's the last 3 laps of the race, because you have 3 laps in which to make the call, you can pass the board twice. The third time you have to come in. Well, obviously there are not 3 opportunities to do that because the race is nearly at an end. And so what they'll do is add on 20 seconds to his time at the end of the race. It's going to push him down the order. And so again, Esteban Ocon, to an extent, has been let off the hook here because he's not going to score any points. But Verstappen he's not going to score many either, if any now. So that's going to push him right down the order. Carefree about all this, though, is this man, Antonio Giovinazzi. He drove beautifully in race 2. He drove really well yesterday, actually, to get second place. He's driven even better this time. His maiden Formula 3 victory comes today. It comes at last. And the Italian takes the win. Well done, Antonio Giovinazzi. You are a race winner in the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. He wins by 3.1 seconds for Giovinazzi. I am with Carlin. His teammate Tom Blomqvist takes second place, 7 seconds clear of the Austrian Lucas Auer, who'll get his second podium of the day. And Verstappen crosses the line in 4th place, but he's been issued with the drive-through penalty. He can't serve it because it's the end of the race anyway. So from the regulations, they'll add 20 seconds onto his time. And looking at the order, it's going to put him out of the points quite comfortably, actually. It'll put him down, I think, to about 12th place. So Ocon, amazingly, doesn't score any points this weekend, the championship leader, but Verstappen didn't score anything like as many as he would have liked, despite this ferocious racing that he's pulled off. So Tom Blomqvist is the biggest beneficiary in terms of the front runners of the championship. And, well, he's right up there. Look at this. It means so much to him. I think it means even more because of what happened to him earlier on today when he thought he'd won the race and then he just made this mistake behind the safety car, stayed too far back behind the safety car, and then had 20 seconds added to his time and failed to win. Well, what a great drive, and the team will be absolutely delighted. Giovinazzi, I am with Carlin, have had 2 1-2s, one yesterday, one today, and in between they had Tom Blomqvist finishing on the podium as well. So they have had